All right, what's up? Once again, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Another Conscious Approach video. Appreciate you for tuning in. My name is JV Wins. That's Dogon SS. Here to provide some logical content with some social commentary going on in the world of society and culture for the week. Before we get started with this week's video, I just want to say, as I always like to say, that if you appreciate the commentary in this video, if you like the content of any of the videos on this channel, please hit that subscribe button, like the video, share the video wherever you see it. We certainly appreciate you supporting logical content because we love making logical content. As you can see on our little ticker there, going across the bottom of the screen, our current goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers. Of course, we can't do that without the support of those who appreciate the work that we put into these videos. So we certainly appreciate you subscribing to this channel and liking these videos and just participating in the conversation, man. Go ahead and leave a comment and all that good stuff. So with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and kick it off talking about Draymond Green. Draymond Green is a active NBA player who clearly aspires to be a media personality. He does takes, and so like I guess when the Warriors aren't really doing much or during All-Star break or something like that, Draymond Green is always on the NBA on TNT set with those other guys, Charles Barkley, Shaq, and those guys. He has his own podcast, Draymond Green Show or whatever it's called. So he, despite the fact that he routinely rails against the media, is fastening himself to becoming a media member himself. Okay. And this latest clip that we ran across, I'm not sure if this is a part of his show or not. I think it is. I think that this is a part of the Draymond Green show. But he's talking to it looks like one of those guys on there is Juan Toscano Anderson, I think, who used to play for the Warriors, now plays for the Lakers. But he's on there with Draymond. And then there's another guy. I don't know who the other guy is. But this clip in particular goes into Draymond's thoughts on why LeBron James is the greatest player of all time. Or more specifically, why for Draymond, it's LeBron over Jordan, which is always going to get people riled up. And it's always going to start some interesting it's always going to start some interesting conversations whenever you blaspheme against the name and the legacy of Michael Jordan. So we're going to play what Draymond had to say, and then we're going to react to his comments afterwards.
It's done. Yeah. Bron started in 03. By 2005, Bron was the best player in the NBA. In 2020, he was still the best player in the NBA. He was the best player in the NBA no matter what the game did. The game went from two slugs, like slow big men, to like a stretch four big man, to like back to two big men, to like big man.
You out there playing the bona fide.
And he's been the best no matter what. When you look at the teams that Bron has carried to championship or carried to the finals, MJ didn't beat the greatest team ever assembled, nor did he run up against the greatest team ever assembled every year. You look at the skill set that Bron has. There's nobody that has ever played the game of basketball that can do what LeBron James does on a basketball court. Nobody. We all want to be like Mike, but what LeBron has been able to do and how he can control the game and like to do it this long, like MJ retired, like this shit's grueling. Like going to the finals year after year after year. Bron went 8 or 9 straight years. Like MJ took a break and right in the heat of that shit. Bron ain't taking no break. You know what he did? Went again and again and again and again.
With different guys every time.
And again. So for me, that's why it's Bron over MJ for me. And on top of that, the talent nowadays is way better. And I'm sure one of the old fucks going to say, you out of your mind, and this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. The talent is way better. Just like the talent at Apple is way better than the talent that was working at Apple in 1991.
Food better, training's better, medicine's better.
Everything.
It's the nature of things. Shit progresses and we get better product of what we put out there. And so the game is way better, way different now. And it's crazy. Bron's still up there, man. So he's
Still doing it. Still doing
1 and 2, 3,
Year
best
20.
in the league. It's crazy.
It's year 20.
20 is crazy.
Playing at a high level.
He's still at the top of the discussion in year 20.
Well,
He's still at the top of the discussion in year 20. All right, what you got on that?
yeah, I don't know what that other guy. He's an actor. I don't know his name, but he's a new guy and he's an actor. He's pretty cool.
Okay.
But as far as Draymond's take here, I've heard that argument before. When it comes to the greatest basketball player of all time, I think kind of like how we discussed last week when people have definitions of things, I think they have to define what they mean by greatest player of all time first. Then once I start to hear their explanation of why they think they're the greatest player ever, then I may not have too much of a debate after that. It's the reason being for these arguments, the reason why I feel like people will forever argue these types of topics when it's dealing with sports, specifically basketball, is that there is not a uniform definition of what greatest of all time actually means. And kind of like when you talk to people, especially back in the day when record sales actually meant something, when people would say that, oh yeah, Eminem's the best rapper. And it's like, well, why is he up there with, Jay-Z and Tupac and Biggie? Why is Eminem up there? Look how many records he sells. And it's just like, okay, so that's what you're basing your hierarchy on, record sales. So it's not so much lyrics, it's these criteria. So same thing goes for LeBron and the Jordan argument. My definition of what constitutes a basketball player is different than others. And so me personally, I don't think either one of them is the best basketball player. Hot take, right? I don't think either one of them is the greatest basketball player ever. All right. But that's my opinion. When it comes to Draymond's explanation of why he thinks LeBron's the best, it sounds like it's for finals appearances, the fact that he played for so well for so many years, I'm sure statistics, even though he didn't name that, and athletic ability. And when it comes to the greatest athlete ever to play basketball, LeBron's right up there at the top, I would say. He's one of the greatest athletes ever, especially that he's still doing it in year 20. I never refuted LeBron's athleticism. But when it comes to the generic argument of who's the best player of all time, I would, and when I say the generic argument, it's more or less who's the guy you want to have the ball at the end of the game. If you have a 7-game series finals, who's the guy that you want to be the leader of that team? I'm not picking LeBron. Who has the killer instinct? I'm not picking LeBron. LeBron's not going to put his foot on my throat and want me to gasp for more breath so he can push a little harder. That's Jordan. And so when it comes to the generic argument, I side with Jordan on the generic argument because I think that's when people more or less, and I agree with that. If there was a 7-game series, who do you want to be the guy to take the final shot, to lead the team throughout the whole thing? I'd be hard pressed to find anybody over Jordan when it comes to modern basketball. When I say modern basketball, because Jordan modernized basketball, and we could get more into this later, but this individualistic way of playing basketball is a more modern form of basketball. And so Jordan, who spearheaded that, he is the pioneer. And then everybody tries to be like Mike. So even LeBron is being like Mike. So for Draymond to sit there and say, "Oh, trying to be like Mike," and it's all about LeBron. It's like, well, LeBron's being like Mike. So you do have to acknowledge that. So I've got more to say on this, but how do you feel about this, sir? Do you agree with Mr. Draymond here?
No, I don't. I think he's but Draymond is one of those guys who has effectively drank his own Kool-Aid. So this is what happens with people who scorn the media and then end up realizing that there's opportunities in the media. They spend a long time curating a name for themselves as a contrarian. And then when they realize that there's opportunity in the media and they want to be able to play in that space, they then lean into the name that they made for themselves so as to cement themselves as this is who I am and this is what I do in the media. So even if I don't mean it, I'm just going to say contrarian things because that's what the public knows me as Draymond the contrarian. Now, for all I know, he really does believe LeBron is the greatest ever. I'll take him at his word. But I do think that he leans into his opinions because of the fact that people kind of have come to appreciate Draymond as like the active player who's in the media who is a contrarian. And I think he knows that. And so he leans into it. But taking him at his word, I have several problems with what he said. I have several problems with what he said. So I have three main issues that I have with what he said. Mm-hmm. And people who tend to advocate on behalf of LeBron tend to say the same stuff. So he's not alone. And I've heard these things before. Mm-hmm. The first thing that I have a problem with that he said was LeBron came into the league in 03. By 05, he was the best player. That's false. As an individual basketball player, in my opinion, Kobe did not cease to be the best player until after the 2008 season. So the year that they went to the finals in the 2007-2008 season, the Lakers, and lost to the Celtics. After that year, I would go ahead and say as an individual player, LeBron was the best player. But prior to that point, there were too many holes in his game to exploit. And he leaned heavily on athleticism. But that's a fallacy. People like to say that LeBron was the best player in the league that early on because of the numbers that he was putting up. I believe that to be false. That's not true. So that's the first issue that I have with what he said. The second issue that I have with what he said is when he talks about the teams LeBron, quote, carried to the finals. This is another common misconception. However many times LeBron went to the finals, every year that he was there, with the exception of, I believe, two teams, he was playing with a stacked deck. So the first year that Cleveland went to the finals and they lost to the Spurs and got swept, I think that was the 05 finals. I'm willing to concede that that was a team that on paper you wouldn't think got to the finals, but got there because LeBron just muscled them there. So even though I hate this idea of LeBron dragging professionals to the finals, I'll give you that for the sake of the argument. The other one that I'll give you is the year that Kyrie and Kevin Love got hurt. I believe Kevin Love got hurt in like the second round, and then Kyrie goes down in the conference finals, and then the Cleveland ends up winning, and they get to the finals against Golden State, lose 4-1 because they were undermanned. It was LeBron and supporting players, J.R. Smith and all of those guys. I'll give you those two. Other than that, LeBron hasn't dragged any teams to the finals. He hasn't carried any teams to the finals. 4 straight trips to the Heat, those rosters were stacked. And I don't, if you follow the sport, I don't need to go down the list. Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Mike Miller, Shane Battier, Ray Allen, Mario Chalmers. The teams were great teams. It is. If you don't agree with that, then you're just a LeBron apologist. The year that they went to the finals, when he was with Golden State, when he was with Cleveland, and they won in 2016, again, stacked deck, healthy Kyrie Irving, healthy Kevin Love, all of these other supporting pieces, Tristan Thompson flying around, blocking shots, getting rebounds, J.R. Smith hitting open threes. That was not a weak team. I think Kyle Korver was there too. That was not a team that you would say LeBron dragged to the finals. And then the team that they went to the finals with the Lakers, the bubble year, again, that was not a team that LeBron dragged. Anthony Davis at the time, some would argue, was a top 5 player, so on and so forth. I don't need to go through the history of it. But that's another thing Draymond said that is wrong, that pisses me off when people bring it up, because LeBron, there's this mythical, there's just this myth out there that he drags teams to the finals. He's maybe done it twice at the most. And then the other thing that he said that I don't agree with is Jordan never beat the greatest team ever assembled. Well, for that matter, neither did LeBron. Now, I assume that when Draymond Green brings this up, he's talking about the 2016 season when Cleveland won against Golden State. I'm assuming that's the year that's what he's referring to when he says greatest team ever assembled. No, LeBron didn't beat that team either, because let's see, Andrew Bogut was a starting center, went down in game 1, tore his ACL, never came back. Andre Iguodala was compromised with a bad back, couldn't guard anybody. Steph Curry was compromised with a bad ankle, couldn't guard Kyrie. Kyrie cooked in the whole series. Draymond Green himself took himself out of the series by getting suspended for an elimination game in game 5. And then Cleveland wins in game 6. And then Kyrie hits a shot in game 7. So they, meaning Cleveland with LeBron, didn't beat the greatest team ever assembled, because the team was hurt and compromised. And Draymond, who at the time was even more integral to how successful that team can be than he is now, wasn't there for a pivotal elimination game at home. And then they lose in Cleveland and then go back to Golden State and lose. So LeBron didn't do that either. So if these are the reasons why you're bringing up as to whether LeBron is the greatest player over Jordan, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree, because those arguments, in my opinion, are fallacies. Now, to bring up your notion about criteria, these sports arguments 100% boil down to criteria, and it's basically up to whatever your individual interpretation of greatest of all time is. Based upon what Draymond said, if we want to argue that LeBron James deserves the longevity award, I'll give him that. No one has sustained high-level play for 20 years, at the rate that LeBron has. I'm willing to concede that. I'm also willing to concede that he is the Swiss Army knife player of all time, in terms of a guy who can just fill a stat sheet doing anything you need him to do, but make free throws at the end of the game and consistently hit threes. Percentage-wise. But yeah, he'll get steals, block shots. He'll get rebounds when he's willing to. He'll get assists. He'll get steals when he's willing to. And so I'll give him the Swiss Army Knife Award. But me personally, when it comes to skill, individual accolades, and postseason success, juxtaposed to Jordan, I can't give LeBron that. But again, that's my criteria. So again, this pretty much just kind of ends up degenerating into a shouting match, and it comes from your sensibilities of what you think and how you factor greatest of all time, best, and all of this kind of stuff. I can't go for that. I can't go for LeBron. I can't go for it in a vacuum based on my criteria, and I can't go for it based upon what LeBron mentioned not LeBron, but what Draymond mentioned in that clip. I think Draymond's arguments are full of fallacies, but this is what LeBron fans do. They believe in these false myths and these fallacies in terms of the myth of LeBron and what he's done throughout his career. There's too many holes in that argument, and quite frankly, there are too many holes in LeBron's career compared to Jordan and what Jordan did. Irregardless of LeBron going to the finals 9 straight times, good job. That's great, and you deserve credit for that. But again, most of those teams that LeBron was on during that run, when LeBron was going to the finals 9 straight years, he was not playing with also-rans. He was on great rosters. And people need to stop perpetrating this fraud that he was dragging teams to the finals when he wasn't, with the exception of, in my mind, 2 years in which that argument would actually apply. So, whether it's my opinion or whether it's what Draymond said, I can't go for that in any kind of way.
Well said. Hey, look, when we're dealing with LeBron fans, their scope is limited to the 20 years that he's been playing. And I would argue it's a generational thing.
Yeah.
And the younger people who saw LeBron play, they didn't even see Kobe play all of his years. They saw mostly LeBron. This guy flying through the air. His Heat days, if you just watch those highlights now, it is outrageous stuff. The guy is an animal as an athlete.
Yeah.
So I never questioned his athleticism, like ever. Guys like Draymond who play against LeBron, they marvel at his athleticism and his skill set. I don't question his going to the gym, him putting in the work to get better at areas in his game that he was weak at. I don't put any of that stuff past him. I'm not saying that he hasn't done that. What I'm saying is I don't want him being the guy taking the final shot if I have an option between Jordan and him. So if it's between Jordan and LeBron, I want Jordan taking it. If there's one game to win, I want Jordan playing in that game, period. I saw Jordan do things to literally wield his team to a win. LeBron, he has pockets of that. And you can go through his career where he decided to go beast mode in a game. Over here, over there. Most of the times where he should have went beast mode, he was passing the ball to other people. So in the beginning part of his career, there was a heavy criticism of him not taking a final shot. I at the time felt as though it wasn't fair, but when they're trying to create this new GOAT has to take shots.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, hey, look, he's not that. He's just really good at doing all this other stuff. Let the man just be really good at doing all this other stuff. No, he has to be the greatest of all time. He has to be. So take that shot because you're athletically better than everybody else. And I'm like, well, that's not fair to him. I didn't think that was fair for him. But then once he started getting into it all and started buying into his own hype, he never fans the flames to this. But low key, you can tell that this is something that's important to him, of course. And
He said it once. He did one time say, I think it was after the 2016 thing, he did publicly say, I think based on what I've done and what happened here, I feel like I'm the greatest ever. He did say that. So he doesn't do it often, but he has, verbalized that at least once.
Well, and you don't put in the amount of work that he has put in over his career to not be the best player ever. So I'm sure that's on his mind, but I am sorry. All right. Filling stat sheets, stuffing stat sheets, that doesn't make you a great. It makes you good at stuffing stat sheets. I have my own individual problems with LeBron's game, period. I feel as though he was a person that never had a real coach rein him in. If you've ever played, basketball, youth basketball and stuff like that, there was either the coach's son or that kid on the team that was more athletic than everybody else. So the coach would just say, give him the ball. LeBron has always been the guy where they say, give him the ball. He's jumping over everybody. He's taller than everybody, he's stronger than everybody. Just give him the ball. And so since he's always been that guy, and he came into the league with that energy, he never really had a real head coach. The one place that he ever had an actual franchise structure was when he played for the Heat. And even then, he was still trying to play GM and do all these other things that he does at these other locations. And he claimed he wanted Popovich as a coach. No, he didn't. Because Popovich would have tried to rein that in. The closest he got to Popovich was playing under Spoelstra via Pat Riley.
Right.
And so when he actually had that structure, he was bucking all the time. And he's even said this before, that when he went to Miami, that's when he learned how to be a professional. If he ever played in a situation where he actually had a coach to make him play small forward, I think this would be a different discussion, for me at least, over time and his legacy. I really feel like he would have won more championships had he just played his position. Yeah, you can bring it up court. Yeah, you can do all these things. But to me, pounding the ball for 20 seconds, then driving to the lane and then passing it out to somebody on the wing, it's not vision. Does he have vision? Yes. But not Jason Kidd vision, not Steve Nash vision. No. He pounds the rock for 20 seconds, throws it in a random corner. He turned Bosch into a shooter. He turned Love into a shooter. He limits other people's game. One of the arguments that I can't stand is that he makes people around him better. No, he doesn't. He absorbs so much of everything that he limits other people's superpowers. Kevin Love, when he went to the Cavaliers, the guy was a monster, a 20 and 10 monster. You know, he could hit threes, but the guy was just a beast. As soon as he goes to Cleveland, he's relegated to the 3-point line exclusively. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, what's this about? Well, we're playing LeBron ball, not basketball, by the way.
Yeah.
And so I'm not a fan of LeBron ball. If LeBron played for Golden State will be a completely different run operation. It wouldn't be free-flowing stuff anymore with the balls and backdoor cuts and stuff like that, actual basketball. It wouldn't be that. It'd be this new version of weird stuff because now he has Steph and Clay, and so now he could just throw it to Steph and Clay, hold the ball for 20 seconds. And then it's like, hey, where's the free-flowing basketball that wins championships? Where'd that go? Oh, it's LeBron's here, so it's LeBron ball. So he, to me, has been a victim of his own greatness when it came to his development years, where he never really learned the game of basketball. He just knew how to be more athletic and more dominant than everybody else. And then so everybody looks at his stats. Everybody looks at him getting to finals, but not winning them. All right, just getting there. I guess that's good enough, right? In the weak East at the time, by the way, as well. And just getting there. I guess that's good enough. But to me, I'm no Jordan stan. I have my own takes on Jordan. All right. I have my own takes on him. All right. I feel like his version of basketball, as exciting as it was, all right, I feel like what that did was it took away from the game of basketball. And it created star guards all over the place. And everybody wanted to be Jordan, take the game-winning shot, hold the ball, and all this other stuff. I'm a fan of free-flowing basketball. So backdoor cuts, pick and roll, everybody contributing to the W, not just one superstar, falling away at the end of the game to get all the glory. And so, but be that as it may, if we want to stick to this more individualistic modern form of, elite basketball players, then yeah, Jordan wins because he created it, in my opinion. So
That's a lot of LeBron fans going to hear all the stuff that you said and go crazy, especially the people in the media.
Hell, just look at the facts. It's right there.
Yeah, no, I think LeBron has just had everything working for him, and he's benefited. I once called LeBron the greatest. He is the recipient of what I call the greatest superstar double standard in the history of sports. I used to say it was between him and Tom Brady, but Tom Brady was actually continuously winning Super Bowls. So after a while, I had to kind of lay off that with Tom Brady because he just kept winning. But, with LeBron, he was like the first player ever to whom he would get all the credit for success and then get none of the criticism in failure, which I had a serious problem with because prior to him, that wasn't the case. And other superstar guards, they were in the same circumstances. Tracy McGrady in Houston, for example, got blamed because Houston would come up short in the finals while he was there. Yao Ming was always hurt, but it was a stain against Tracy McGrady's legacy. Yet when LeBron comes up short, it's because he doesn't have enough help. And he doesn't have good enough teammates. And that was just a running narrative with him all throughout his career. And so he's benefited from the greatest superstar double standard in the history of sports. And he's benefited from a very pro LeBron media, which is another fallacy. There's this idea that likes to be created that there are all of these elements in the media that are anti-LeBron. No, there aren't. As far as I can tell, especially in the big time mainstream areas of the media, you might have one detractor here or there, but for the most part, you've been having people singing that LeBron is the greatest player ever tune for forever. And I don't understand how a guy can be underappreciated when every single time his team succeed, it's a referendum on his all-time greatness and how he contributed to everything that happened well and led these teams and dragged all of these teammates, all of these pros to the promised land as if he was the only person who was capable of doing such a thing. And so, it's interesting. I think that a lot of younger, especially pro players, they came up listening to that. And so now they kind of believe it. They kind of buy into the secret sauce. And I guess LeBron now is what I guess you would consider our generation's Jordan to have been. It's a similar dynamic, but it is definitely generational. I just don't agree with any of it because there's just fallacies all around. I mean, if you want to give him credit for going to the finals 9 straight times, again, I'll give him the Iron Man Award, the Longevity Award, but you can't supplant that. You can't supplant a guy who went to the finals 6 times and won all 6 times with that. To me, those are 2 different things. One is Iron Man, longevity and consistency, and the other is just greatness in a vacuum. He went 6 times. He won all 6 times. He won the MVP in that finals every time. Like 5 times he got the MVP. Like if you want to do the number and the accolades thing, if you want to do the skill thing, all of that kind of stuff. If you want to do the championship postseason thing, I feel like he has it all locked in. I feel like Jordan has it locked down. And full disclosure, I do believe that Jordan is the greatest player ever. However, if people want to say it's somebody else, I'm not going to get mad. Hell, if people want to come out saying that it's LeBron, I'm going to have to ask you to qualify your opinions with I'm going to have to ask you to qualify that opinion with sensible arguments and not he puts up numbers and makes his teammates better and went to the finals 9 times. Like I'm not buying that. I'm not buying any of that. Those are all specious arguments that don't mean nothing when you compare it to 6 for 6 and 6 finals MVPs, 5 MVPs, like scoring titles, defensive player of the years, like steals, free throws. Like, what are we talking about? I don't understand it. But LeBron has really appealed to a lot of people in the media and to a lot of these fans because of his Swiss Army knife game and his passing and all of these other fallacies that people bring up. Because I agree 100% with you on the LeBron ball thing. I think I even remember calling that crap LeBron ball years ago when it became evident that, maximizing LeBron's abilities is counterintuitive to maximizing the abilities of everybody around him. And yeah, Chris Bosh did become a 17-foot jump shooter when LeBron got to the Heat. And Kevin Love became a 3-point shooter when they assembled that team in Cleveland. And that's really the only way to win when he's there is you have to put in his orbit people who can stretch the floor so that he can bully ball his way to the basket. Oddly enough, that's the reason why the Lakers today are kind of struggling, in addition to injuries. But a lot of that has to do with the fact that LeBron can't do as much of that stuff anymore as he used to be able to.
Yeah, right.
So if you do not have a roster full of guys who can now be an individual, because LeBron himself now is an individual. He's a get buckets guy. He's not a, kick the ball out to 3-point snipers all over the place because he can't dominate the game physically the way he used to. So if you don't now, you need a roster with guys who can get buckets. And the Lakers are devoid of guys who can get buckets, or for that matter, guys who can hit open threes because they don't even have a lot of shooters either. But, all of this LeBron stuff is what it is. Draymond can say all of that stuff. He drinks the LeBron Kool-Aid. He's a LeBron stan. I think he's a Clutch Sports client as well, which is LeBron's agency for whatever that's worth. And he's just been slurping LeBron for a while now. And he very well may believe that stuff, but the arguments that he brought up to me are bogus. I don't buy them, and I'll never believe that LeBron is the greatest player ever. At this point, there's nothing LeBron can do to change my mind on that. But he does have these newer generations and these younger players, and so y'all newer people, y'all can have that. Go forth with God, because LeBron is your GOAT.
And I'll say this for the LeBron fans out there: be honest. There was a 7-game series. Who you picking? Be honest. If there was a final shot, be honest. If there was a final free throw, be honest. Be honest to it. And I hear your arguments of him being one of the greatest athletes ever, because he is phenomenal to watch. I'm not putting athletically. Basketball wise, he's frustrating for me to watch, because just play basketball. And so if I was assembling a team, I wouldn't want LeBron on my team. The reason being is that he plays his own version of basketball and not the game's version of basketball. And I believe if you respect the game of basketball and you play it the way that it was organized to be played, much like how the Warriors play whenever they're doing whatever they're doing at their highest, that's, to me, I want somebody that can play within that system. They can play basketball. And the times that LeBron went to the finals playing his version of basketball and he lost in the finals, he lost to teams playing basketball, not LeBron ball. So
yeah,
I mean, y'all have at it. I probably done lost a few of people there, but hey, man, it is what it is. The Jordanites out there, maybe one day we'll have a video for Jordan, because I got my own take on that. But just off general principle alone, I still like it's apples and oranges. It's not even a debate in my world. And just be honest. Ask yourself those survey questions, and I think you'll be on my side as well.
They'll answer LeBron, but the thing is, they will be being honest, because they do believe that. They truly believe it. They do. LeBron. Look, one thing, like you credit Jordan for sort of proliferating individualized basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I credit LeBron for the stat era of basketball. LeBron did that, because before LeBron, nobody would say, "Oh, he had 25, 8, and 8. He made his teammates better." Like, nobody automatically equated amount of assists in a game to making teammates better before him. But he showed up and he started getting 7 and 8 assists a game, and it was he made his teammates better. So what was Steve Nash doing before him? What was Jason Kidd doing before him? Hell, what was Magic doing in the 80s? And another thing, right, and like what a lot of people like to do now is equate these numbers with a trait. So now, because recently LeBron passed Magic for most assists ever or something like that, and so now people are trying to make it seem like LeBron, like, I don't care how many more assists LeBron records than Magic Johnson. LeBron on his best day was never a better passer than Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
Now, LeBron's going to have the counting numbers. He's going to have the assists. He's not a better passer than Magic. He never will be. He never was. But that's what LeBron fans do. LeBron ushered in this era of these stats being used to make arguments that otherwise don't make sense.
But the game has changed. And just the other day, Draymond Green surpassed Michael Jordan himself for most made 3-pointers in a career.
I saw that, yeah.
So hold that, whatever that's worth, right? The game has changed. It's a lot faster.
Yeah. And
with all the advents of and they said it in here, when they talk about people today are better, all right, whatever, skill wise, okay.
Right.
But there's a missing thing in the skill. So they can piece together all of these skills, dribbling, dunking, jumping, running faster, modern science, this and that, watching old heads play and evolving game off of that. All of that stuff's great. But one thing that I would say that is missing from a lot of these guys that have all of these talents is that they are missing an internal thing called an it factor. And I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for this guy that's going to come in that has all of these modern tools, but he has an it factor that's mechanic, like it's just robo-like, and he will go out, shoot, and kill. I'm looking to go see that. I haven't seen it. These young guys right now, all the talent in the world, they do make LeBron look like he's one of the best, and it's like, well, these young guys are very impressive. So hopefully, the Cunninghams, Kay Cunningham or John Moran or one of these guys, hey man, Luka, one of these guys can show people, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, we can have a basketball video that goes on for 2 hours talking about
yeah, we already went 40 minutes.
We honestly could, because I can go on and on about all of that. John Morant, that Luka, all of that. Jason Tatum too, throw him in there. But I guess that's a conversation. That's a conversation for another video. But for the
after last year, man.
For the purposes of this one, I can't give you that. I in the words of 2 Chainz, man, I can't go for that. I can't. So, but y'all can have it. Y'all love LeBron. Y'all can have it, and I guess go with God. But I can't go for it. Yeah, I can't go for it. Can't go with Draymond. I can't respect anyone's opinion who comes at me with that stuff. I can't do it. But there you go. According to Draymond Green, LeBron is LeBron over MJ, and I guess to him that's all facts. But
we'll see.
We'll go ahead and sidestep from there, and with the next topic, we will proceed. So now we are going to talk about 2 different clips that I wanted to bring up. One of Latto and one of Ashanti. So in each of these clips, respectively, they are talking about how attempts were made throughout their career to barter sex for career opportunity. And I thought that this was interesting. I wanted to bring this up. So we'll go ahead and play this. I think it has some implications for what's going on out here in these streets, particularly with these males and how the females treat them or look at them or view them. But first, we'll go ahead and talk about the clips first. So the first one we're going to play is the one from Latto. The one from Latto is she had an appearance on, what's his show? Big Boy show out in California. The guy, I forget his name, Big Boy something. Yeah. So we're going to play this one first, and we'll talk about, and then we're going to play the Ashanti one second, and then we'll just talk about the entire situation.
Deal with these men, you know what I'm saying? They don't know how to keep it business, and then they want to
What do you mean by that?
So I don't care, baby, I'm gonna just keep it 100. It's a feature on my album that it was difficult to clear, and they trying to drop their nuts on me because I won't respond to a DM.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it and without saying the name, but is it artist or producer or somebody?
Artist.
Oh wow.
Artist, yeah.
And they'll still be on the album?
Yeah, just because I love the song so much, and I had to turn it in yesterday, so I didn't really have a choice. So I was backed into a corner like bully. But I wish more females would speak up on stuff. I know the labeling and stuff, they say, don't do that, bad business, whatever. Man, these folks be trying to drop nuts on female rappers.
Then,
I'm not gonna shut up about it.
Also, too, Latto, it's you gotta expose the game too.
Yeah.
Because there's somebody that's coming up either next to you, behind you, or it could be a year or two. And sometimes, Latto, we think that that's the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
Some people probably think oh, that's how you get in the business.
Right.
That's how you get a song
We tolerate too much. We think oh, well, that just come with the game being a female rapper. No, it shouldn't though.
Right.
I'm sorry you have to deal with that.
Because they definitely wouldn't do that to pick any male rapper.
You ain't doing that to your fellow male rapper.
Yeah, you're not hitting the future up hey man, what's happening, man? What's up? Yeah.
Come on.
Damn, are you a fan of that person first? I was a fan.
Well, I will say this: everybody on my album, I don't go seek features if I don't listen to their music or
it meant something to you.
So it meant something to me for sure. I was definitely rubbed the wrong way, but I love the song so much, and I didn't want to not put it on my album. So I'm I don't have no choice, and because I didn't have time to record a.
We already got
verse.
Wheelie with 21.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not 21.
It's not. No, it's not 21.
Okay. All right. Because that was already going.
You trying to narrow it down?
All right. So that was the first one. So now we got. So now we got the second one. We're going to play this one right here. This one is Ashanti, talking about a similar experience. So we'll go ahead and get this one. All right.
It's a lot. So yeah.
I heard other women say that they appreciated you telling that story because a lot of them go through those type of things in their work environment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've been in a crazy situation with one producer. I think I might have talked about this once. One producer, like, we did 2 records together. He was like, okay, I'm not gonna charge you, you my homie, whatever. And then when it came time to put on the album, he was like, well, let's take a shower together. And what? And I thought he was joking. Together. Like, I thought he was joking. And then he's like, nah, I'm dead serious. Like, let's go out and let's take a shower together and I'll give you the records. If not, I need 40 racks per record.
Jesus Christ.
Let's take a shower together.
And I was like, again, I thought he was joking, because we had been working with each other for like, I don't know, a couple of weeks.
He was like, you're so crazy.
Right, exactly. You do one of those. And then it turned out that he was serious and I had to make some phone calls and, stuff was handled. But
shower together. Wow.
It's wild. Yeah.
Mama, you gotta get the side of her head, mama.
Yeah, it was.
I be wondering, Mama, how do you feel when you hear these stories though? Like, do you ever feel like you want to get on social media and defend your daughter?
Oh my God! Please do not ever let me tell you something. Please please don't, Charlamagne. I'm serious.
I'm telling my own story.
No, please don't.
Part of it. That. I'm just
don't.
That alone.
It'll be in the doc.
Go sit down, please. Go.
All right, there you go. And of course, there's an ad.
There's gonna be an ad.
Yeah. So Latto was on Big Boy's Neighborhood, and Ashanti was on the Breakfast Club. That. The Ashanti clip came off of World Star though, so it wasn't directly on YouTube or nothing. So hopefully we don't get flagged for that.
Yeah, we were just
right. Yeah. So you males out here, man. It's no wonder these women don't respect you. And it's because of stuff like this. But I gather you have some thoughts or ideas, opinions on each of these situations respectively. They're quite similar. Both of them basically touched on the same type of experience.
Yeah, so I had to do some market research on this Latto person because, sorry, I never heard of her, guys.
We did Glorilla last week. She makes the same type music. I keep trying to tell you, bro, they're a dime a dozen. They make the same music. So she's the same. It's the same carbon copy. Just imagine that it's Glorilla or one of them other ones. They make the same music.
So I'm looking at the track listings, right, of her album. Okay. Just to see who's featured on there. So Big Boy mentioned 21 and she said, nah, it ain't him. So it's like, so he's eliminated. All right. So then we got Lil Wayne and Childish Gambino. So I don't think Childish Gambino would have done that, right? All right, and Lil Wayne, I don't think he did that either. Now we got Lil Durk, Nardo Wick, and Kodak Black. Now, as soon as I saw Kodak, I was like, oh, it was Kodak. Kodak is the only one on that list that would have like, nah, we're gonna need to exchange this him. Because he's the only person on that list that it just doesn't give a damn. So,
well, who Nardo Wick? You know that he's not somebody who I don't even know who that is.
He's a jet. He a jet, and I don't think he's bold enough to pull that card. I think he's still figuring himself out. But Kodak, he's like, I'm gonna need this. and again, because you also got to think, and I'm playing a little conspiracy thing here, but this is interesting to me because her whole discussion, especially where she was like, I really like the song. She didn't like the song because she thinks it's good. She likes the song because it thinks it's going to give her exposure. And one of the things that's going to get clicks and streams and stuff is whenever they see Kodak's name flashing across the screen. So that's what leads me to believe it's Kodak outside of 21. 21 was eliminated. I think it's Kodak. And in her little spill there, she said she felt like she got a little bullied there, a little pressured. She really wanted it. The feature. But she never said that she didn't have the exchange. So to me, I think she was upset about it, and she just wanted to, air her grievances there and let the world know that this is going on behind the scenes. I did it, y'all, but that's whack, and I don't want to be doing that. I thought the rap game was something different. Well, sorry, it isn't. All right, the rap game, okay, as we witnessed here with Ashanti as well. Okay, it's also in the R&B vibes section. All right, so it's going on everywhere in the industries, plural. All right, so that's that's the music, that's Hollywood. All right, that's network television. All right, I don't think it's got over to Netflix, but I'm sure somebody did something for a Netflix special. Maybe not for the Netflix, not for the Netflix industry, but somebody who owns whatever producing house you want to record on. Yeah, and you might have to do a little flavor over here or come to this party over there, right? So I am not surprised. I found it funny that they said, well, they don't do this to the male rappers. You don't know that. All right. So, male rappers aren't going to come out and say anything. All right. But I'm pretty sure some people did something strange for Diddy back in the day, because Diddy, Fabulous never wanted to go to Diddy's parties. All right. And you say, hey, man, I invited you. Why ain't come out, man? Why ain't come out? So it's like, Diddy's one of those guys, all right, where, you might have to cross a threshold in order to get your album. So who knows what's going on over there in bad boy country. But I'm not surprised by this. I'm surprised that she's surprised by this. This is the game as it is. It's a gatekeeping thing as well. If you're willing to do these types of things, then you're controllable. Somebody that has boundaries, it's a ritual thing. Somebody that has boundaries and standards, they won't allow themselves to be degraded just for whatever. I don't need your help that bad. I can go do it over here, or I can figure out another way. But if they're so hell bent on being famous, so hell bent on whatever, well, you'll be willing to do anything. So come over here and do anything. And so that's for the Latto girl. So for Ashanti, with her saying that, hey, come take a shower with me, I don't know if that was Irv Gotti.
No, she would have said his name. She would have, if it was him, she would have said his name. If it was him, because we passed that point. If it was Gotti, she would have said so. Yeah,
but
because Gotti already talked about that.
Yeah, smashing her and then taking a shower or whatever. So that's all I was playing around with that. But still, even then, right? She looks good too, by the way. Still not surprised that somebody played that on her, but I'm pretty sure she did something strange for some too before. So she said that situation got handled, but there's other situations that go on out there. And for people that aspire to be in the industry, or you have children that you put through things because you aspire for them to be going to some type of level, just know that there's weirdos out there, and they may not be able to get on unless they do something weird. So that's my take on that. How do you feel about these scenarios, sir? This is pretty wild here.
Yeah. So for Ashanti, I'm willing to give her more of the benefit of the doubt than Latto. Sure. So to me, I'm looking at it from a content standpoint. See, the reason why I'm willing to give Ashanti the benefit of the doubt is because even though she was in the hip hop / R&B scene, to my knowledge, she never carried herself in such a way that would suggest this is an individual that you would try this on. So my thinking is, if it were to happen to her, then it is a situation in which she is trying to be taken advantage of. And so I'm willing to believe her when she says that that was handled. Now, to your point, whether she handled, because I believe 100% that that probably happened on a regular basis to her throughout her career when she was at her peak. And so did she, quote, handle it in every instance? I don't know. That's a great question. But within the context of that particular appearance on Breakfast Club, I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt because her behavior, albeit within the toxicity of hip hop and R&B, was pristine enough to me that if somebody is trying that, they just trying it because they just trying to get one over on her. Now, when it comes to Latto, now I'm willing to. Now here's the thing: I'm willing to be reasonable enough to believe that when she speaks on it, it's coming from a genuine place.
Yeah.
And that could be me. I'm giving her benefit of the doubt in that regard. I think when she speaks on it, it's coming from a genuine place. However, that does not mean that in the moment she did do it, but now she got a microphone in front of her face. So now let me speak on this problem that I experienced, even though I was complicit beforehand. Nevertheless, you can be complicit in something, but still feel like it's a problem. But you're going to do what you got to do in order to get what you want out of it. That is a thing. So in that instance, it doesn't necessarily make her a victim. It just makes you willing to do something that you would otherwise rather not do, but your morals and your principles will allow it to slide because there's a bigger goal in mind. But nevertheless, when she says what she said, I'm willing to concede that it may have come from a genuine place. However, my issue with her is, like, you have to understand that what you put out into the universe, it comes back around to you. So, like, it goes back to that Cat Williams skit. I believe it was I forget the name of the special, where Cat Williams was talking about the women who are, doing. I forget how the skit goes, but then the punchline is the woman asked Cat Williams, "Well, who do you think I am?" And Cat Williams responds, "Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were a whore." Like, you're putting that out into the atmosphere. So in other words, when your content, when your music is pay for me, pay for my time, pay for my presence, pay for my body, my vagina literally has a price tag, and you will not get it unless you can afford it. So when you put that out into the atmosphere as often as you do through your music, some of that energy is going to come back to you. And you might have a rapper or two who test the limits on that to see if you are actually about that life. It's like when you make, it's like I used to see this all the time back before I moved back down here and I stopped going out. I used to go out and I would be in a bar or a club or wherever. The DJ would play the WAP song. All the girls in the club knew the WAP song. They know all the words. They know all the words to the WAP song. Every single bar, every single syllable, they know all the words. Now you're in this bar talking about your WAP. Now you're honestly going to get frustrated because a guy in this building is going to approach you, giving you that energy. You've been singing along. Yeah, you've been singing along to this song. Like, what do you expect? So I guess the point that I'm trying to make is what you put out into the universe at times is going to come back to you. Now, I'm not saying don't make your music. I'm not saying don't make your content. It's a free society. Do whatever you want. But understand that everything that we do, there's a price to be paid for that. So you have to weigh the pros and cons and be willing to accept the price that comes along with what you're doing. If you glean that the price to be paid is worth whatever it is that you're doing, then understand that you're going to get some of that back. There's going to be a rapper. There's going to be a producer. There's going to be an engineer who's going to try you. And they're going to say, you want this song, you want this sample, you want this verse, you want this clearance. I want to smash. And I'm not necessarily saying that it's right or wrong, but that's the world that we live in. You're making songs saying that there's a price tag on your vagina. That's what your music says. That's what your content says. If you want to get with me, you got to be rich. So you're not saying that there's a barrier to entry based upon a man's principles or his moral code or his ethics. You're literally saying, come willing to bargain. And as long as you're coming willing to bargain, you might be able to get, there's a plate, you can step up to the plate and get a bat. So, that energy is going to come back around to you. And I don't know if she understands that. I don't know if half these other female rappers who make this same stuff understand that. Guys are going to look at you and they're going to say, I want to smash. And if there is an exchange if there is something that they have that they can use to barter it with, they're going to do that. So if it's a song, a beat, whatever, you make songs all day, every day, talking about literally your whole persona as an artist is sex, pussy, vagina, and you got to be rich to get it. So if a guy got money, if a guy has the ability to barter with you on those grounds, he might take you up on that. So again, I'm not trying to excuse it or absolve it or say that it's right or wrong. This is the world that we live in. Everything you put back into the universe comes back around to you. So if it's a price that you're willing to pay, live with the decisions that you make.
It's trap rap, right? So selling a vagina music is trap rap for women. So them being in this position where they actually have to face reality, it's a harsh reminder. It's kind of like a trap rapper who actually has to go to jail. This is what you talk about, right? Now you actually have to actually do time. And so for these girls out here, and then now you want to, squirm, and now you want to have standards. And to me, it's ironic that now you want to have standards to who you want to let smash, because, like you said, this music tells me it's the highest bidder, And what's not a good bid than a feature that's going to get you paid ultimately,
right?
So you need my vocals on this. I don't need yours. So if you want that bag, my voice is the key to it. So here it is. I don't like it under these pretenses. So there's like, qualifications for this then. So you do have standards, and then so, but it's ironic, man. It is really ironic. And when you're dealing with women glorifying prostitution, and then they turn around and say, hey, treat me as a human as I am. And it's just like, oh, we're treating you like a human. We're treating you like a human. That's a prostitute. So are you going to exchange this or not? Now Ashanti, and I agree with you with that, because I feel like this story, the reason why she brought it up and she's speaking with such confidence is because she actually did handle this and said no.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But she's not going to tell you the stories that she actually found Irv Gotti attractive. She's not going to tell you that.
Right. Yeah.
So so she played her own hand to get into the industry the way that she could play it. And whether she's singing about love or one singing about WAP, in order to get your voice on the radio, you might have to do something a little strange. And so I appreciate Ashanti's story, but to me, that still doesn't justify her sleeping with Irv Gotti.
Yeah.
Oh no, he was cool and he was a boss, and girl, please. That's why
there's really no difference.
That's why you're with Nelly.
Yeah, that's that's true. And there's really no difference. And you look like a hypocrite when in certain instances you do it, but then speak on it in times when it's not okay.
Exactly.
What are the conditions upon which it becomes permissible? Like if you're willing to do it in one circumstance, it kind of makes it kind of makes you look a bit like a hypocrite when you speak out against it in other circumstances. So the inconsistency there is I agree with that. I think the inconsistency inherent in it is not just an issue with Ashanti, but with the rest of these chicks who come out like this.
Yeah. And so at this point, if somebody wants to remain ignorant to what the industry really is and how it's weirdo stuff going on, period. All right. We done had enough, not conspiracy videos either. We done had enough celebrities that come out and talk about certain types of parties and certain types of things. sharing their own experiences to let you know that there's some people out here that have nefarious agendas when it comes to allowing people to get into the industry somehow, some way. So for this young lady to be trying to expose this Latto girl, trying to expose the industry, and we need to put a stop to this. Go ahead, girl, keep trying. A lot of people have been barking up that tree. This industry is what it is. And so long as they're talking about promoting drugs or on radio openly, talking about killing people openly on the radio, talking about selling your vagina openly on the radio, so long as this is what's going on in the industry, then there will be gatekeeping in order to get into the industry. And so you said you were selling box or not? You saying on all these tracks, give it up. And so what I actually have to, yes. You want to, yes.
Yeah.
You want to be on the radio, don't you, Miss Latto? You know, it's real creepy, man. But hey, you know, that's what I'm saying. If you're trying to get into this industry, acting as well. All right. So the Kevin Spacey's and the what's the other boy name?
Weinstein's, yeah.
Hey man,
yeah.
Those were the people that got outed. And that it's not like it's not going on replete through the industry. Mm-hmm. So one can play ignorant if they want, but you have been warned. All right. And so if you don't subscribe to other people's actual experiences, then hey man, I don't know what to tell you, and you can play naive if you want, but that industry is a vulturous industry, if that's a word.
Yeah.
And they prey on people naive enough and hungry enough to be air quote famous. And so Latto, I know you now. Let's see how long this lasts, and was it worth it?
Mm-hmm.
Crazy stuff.
I'm with you. I'm definitely with you there. And don't get it twisted. It's often said that women go through this, and maybe they go through it more, but these males and these men in the entertainment industry, they do weird stuff too.
Yeah, they get framed for it.
Yeah, they do weird stuff too. And again, like you said, none of this stuff is like top secret. There's been people who've come out publicly and talked about weird stuff that happened. Men, in terms of things that they were other men, other people, women, whatever, in terms of what they've gone through when it comes to these weirdo spaces out here in this world. So yeah, you are warned for sure. It's just
out there.
It is. It's out there, and it's tough. I get where they're coming from. Ashanti, I'm willing to buy a little more, but like you said, I feel like she has some docuseries coming out. She's had, I'm sure, and this is reckless speculation on my part, granted, because I don't know for a fact, but I am fairly certain. I feel comfortable enough to say that she's had multiple industry relations, and I'm pretty sure that the majority of those relations benefited her career in some capacity. So if one is okay, what makes the other not okay? Is it because the other guy is not attractive? What's the deal? Because otherwise you just kind of look inconsistent in how you go about your crusade. But be that as it may, I'm willing to give Ashanti more of the benefit of the doubt than Latto, because at least Ashanti didn't make every song, masquerading herself as a modern day sex worker, which is what a lot of these female rappers do. And when you make that kind of content, you have to be willing to accept what comes back around to you. Everything that you put out in the universe does come back around in some kind of way. And if you don't like it, change your content up. Otherwise, accept what you get.
Yep.
So,
straight up, man. And I'm also willing to put out there that Ashanti, if you're watching and listening, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I produce.
Yeah, Ashanti is a shotta. She is grade A all the way. It doesn't seem to matter. Yeah, she is. It doesn't seem to matter. I can't even really tell that she's older than she used to be. Honestly, like she is. I don't know what she got going on, but yeah, she a shotta for sure.
I'm a producer and I don't get creepy, Ashanti. So
yeah. Well, she might not like you if you don't. Oh, my bad. We'll go ahead and end it. My bad. I didn't mean that. but I did, but I didn't. Okay, so next up, we're gonna talk about this clip that I ran across. So this was a video that I came across on WorldStar, but it was originally uploaded to WorldStar via TikTok. So the TikToker's handle is at It's Guru Benny with 3 N's. I guess I don't know what the significance of that is, but she's talking about why it is that men go crazy over women and fall in love. And apparently it's a hormonal chemical reason. That's the reason why, apparently, according to her. And she went way down the rabbit hole and did some extensive research. So we are going to comment on the research that she discovered, and we are going to opine as to whether we think that it is bogus or not. So we're going to go ahead and share this. We're going to share this explanation, and then we'll talk about her opinions on this afterwards. Again, this is it's Guru Benny talking about why men fall in love with women.
Men have this sick obsession with you when you play hard to get, when you come off as mean.
Okay, guys, I look a crazy ass mess, but I just had to get on here and explain because this is becoming a common issue. The girls are asking, and I found the answer. So apparently, when a woman is in love, or what makes a woman fall in love is the release of dopamine and oxytocin. So this can happen when dopamine is released when you're just happy. You can eat food or whatever makes you happy, you'll release dopamine. But oxytocin is released for women when they have, do things like having sex with somebody. Now, men, their love hormone is released when they release dopamine like women, but a hormone called vasopressin. So vasopressin is a hormone that's released in men that make them fall more in love. But guess what releases that for them? It's not sex. So women are out here sleeping with men, think that the more that they sleep with them, the more they're going to fall in love with them, or they're out here doing nice acts for men. Oh, I'm going to do this for him. Oh, I'm going to do that for him. I'm going to be loving, thinking that that's going to make them fall in love with them, because if a man does that for a woman, that's what makes us fall in love. But it's not the same the other way around. Vasopressin, a man's love hormone, is released when a man is stressed. Can you believe that? So the reason why men are like weirdly obsessed with you when you ignore them or when they have to chase you is because it's releasing a love hormone. The stress of not having you is actually making them love you more. Not only is vasopressin, a man's love hormone, released when they're stressed, it's released when they have high volumes of sodium in their body. So like basically if they eat, obviously if you eat, you're increasing sodium levels in your body. And I guess that's where the term comes from. The way to a man's heart is through his stomach. So if you're feeding your man and stressing him out, he's going to love you. But let's push the food shit to the side. The things that we as women have to get together and collectively understand, because this is a scientific thing. Look it up yourself. I went into a rabbit hole finding this shit. I was like, oh. But the thing that we as women have to understand is all that lovey-dovey shit, oh, I'm going to do this for him, oh, I'm going to kiss his ass, is going to make him slightly appreciate you, but that does not release the love hormone. These men don't even know why the women that stress them out and don't want them are the women they want the most. They couldn't tell you because it's a biological thing. It's science, and if you don't know the research like I did it a couple of weeks ago, you would not know that. So on paper, you're like, oh, I'm going to do all these nice deeds, and they're going to love me because when he does that, I love him more. But that releases oxytocin in you. That's what makes you love. We need to release vasopressin. So we need to stress these niggas the fuck out. So all the men in your DMs that are chasing you, keep ignoring them, love, because that chase, that stress is releasing more love for you. It's such a fucked up concept, but science said it. I ain't make the rules.
All right. So she said the reason why guys become obsessed with women when women ignore them is because it stresses them out. And when men become stressed, it releases a chemical called vasopressin, which is what makes them fall in love. That's a male's love hormone, a chemical called vasopressin. This is what social media is. Anybody can get on, and that's Western society nowadays, bro.
That's dangerous.
2022. Anybody can just say some stuff on the internet and get a following. She probably gonna be an influencer. She probably gonna get paid at some point by some company to endorse products.
I gotta tell you right now, She just stressed me the hell out watching that. I don't want to hit her up. I ain't hitting her up. The hell is she talking about? And this is, and like you said, bro, this is dangerous. This is dangerous rhetoric that the internet is passing amongst each other. I don't know where she's getting this information from. All right. Now, she could have pulled this from a credible source. All right. She could have. But this interpretation of it, I have so many issues with it. Much like last week, what love are we talking about? Because that don't sound like love to me. So I wouldn't call it a love hormone. That sounds like attachment. You know, when you hear a song in the morning and you didn't finish hearing the whole song, and then later on that day, you don't even like the song, but you keep playing the same song over and over again. There's something in the mind that wants to complete that. It wants to finish it so it can get it over with. There's heuristics in our brain psychologically that wants to solve things that are unsolved. Period. As men, as logical creatures, I'm sure there's a part of us that wants to solve something that has not been solved yet. So just because I hit you up again doesn't mean I love you. That means there was an unsolved thing here when you're trying to do this new brand of, hey, girl, when you ignore them, hey, we had a good situation going on. Why are you being weird? Like, what did I miss? So naturally, we're just trying to solve an equation. That doesn't mean that we are in love with anything. The man who misinterprets that, trying to solve that equation as being love, has got caught up in infatuation and attachment. I wouldn't call either one of those words love because it's called infatuation and attachment. It's not called love. So to call this a love hormone, then to get online and to start saying, hey, ladies, there's a point to this crazy stuff that y'all been doing. Let's amp up the toxicity to its maximum capacity. Hey, ladies, make him mad. He's really going to love you then. If that is not the most insane backwards logic I have ever heard. So what's all this stuff that a man just wants peace? Men just saying that because, well, it just sounds good? Nah, men want peace. And if you're aggravating him, well, that's disrupting his peace. So I don't see how the two correlate. So if there is a hormone in men that makes them want to finish solving an equation, that doesn't equate to love. And if a woman can prompt that chemical reaction in that man, that doesn't make it love. So for whatever scientist that decided to come up and find this hormone and label it love hormone and then spew it to the masses, this is propaganda and dangerous rhetoric. So I've got more on this. But sir, how do you feel about this chaos right now?
Bro, 100%. I could not have said that better myself. I've experienced that many, many times. I think any guy who's not married or in a relationship has experienced that many times. Every time I have experienced a woman who does that, any need that I have to follow up is strictly for the purposes of me gaining a better understanding of what to do or not to do so as to prevent that situation from happening again. Right. It's literally information gathering. It has nothing to do with me being obsessed with her or not. I don't know what that is or where that came from. Perhaps the reason why you get that kind of treatment whenever you choose to employ that tactic, you might be dealing with, and we've talked about this as well, a toxic male.
Right.
Who is going to exact his toxicity upon you because he is receiving an undesired result.
Thank you.
No guy wants to deal with a woman ignoring him. That's an undesired result. So you have men who are balanced and are either going to go their own way or seek additional information, or you have men who are imbalanced, who are going to get crazy on you and try to force you into submitting to his will and doing what he wants. In either scenario, neither one of those situations I would interpret as love. Love hormone, whatever the hell you want to call it, that's ridiculous. Okay, it's ridiculous. According to this logic, I must not produce a love hormone in my body must be devoid of the ability to produce such hormones. Because anytime that I've ever been ignored or just kind of shoved to the side by a woman, I have decided to go my own way. The last thing that has been on my mind is continuing to hit her up, because there is a part of me that says, despite how much information I would like to continue to gain in this regard, I refuse to lower myself to groveling for her attention by repeatedly hitting her up. So according to your logic, that must therefore mean that I am devoid of the ability to produce such a hormone. If I'm going to go by that logic, which of course I don't, because I think it's ridiculous. And another thing, if it was all about stress, can we extrapolate that to the rest of life? I get stressed out at work every day. I do not feel an increased love or affinity for my job via that stress. Is it just stress? Is it stress towards women? Is it stress towards other human beings? Is it a different kind of stress? What kind of stress are we talking about? I have so many questions that you failed to answer in this clip, Miss Lady. And I would argue that your inability, or rather your lack of answering those questions, speaks to how many holes are in this particular type of argument, the fallacy inherent in it. There are other things that stress me out in my life. I get stressed out by friends. I get stressed out by family. I get stressed out by work. I get stressed out by money. None of that makes me gravitate towards that stress even more because I feel a love for it. That's ridiculous. I have no idea what you're talking about. So I think, again, you hinted on this, and we talked about this last week. A lot of this boils down to the type of men that these women are giving their attention to. More often than not, these women are choosing to give their attention to men who are imbalanced, chemically, emotionally, hell, maybe even physically. And they don't know how to interpret the type of nonchalant, indifferent, apathetic behavior that women are paying towards them. So because they're experiencing this dissonance and they don't know how to handle it, they get angry and upset because they have emotional imbalances. And the only way that they know how to express themselves is to get mad and to press you. That doesn't mean that they love you. It means they're crazy. It means they're toxic and imbalanced. And if you ascribe to this form of behavior when it comes to how you treat men, it's no wonder why you're dealing with the same relationship difficulties over and over and over again.
Exactly.
None of this makes sense. None of it is valid. I find it completely and utterly ridiculous. And, you know, I think you are 100% correct, because the first thing that I was going to bring up was, this is what I've chosen to do when I've experienced this. And it's all for the purposes of information gathering. It's not because I'm obsessed with her. I'm not obsessed with any woman who shows me indifference or apathy. And I think most men need to take that same advice. Don't give your attention to any woman who's being indifferent towards you. That is not an indication that she wants you to chase her. It's not an indication that she wants you to fall in love with her. It's an indication that she's prioritizing other men's attention over yours and deprioritizing you because she cares about other attention from other men. If it was all about doing this, if it was all about extracting this hormone from a man, then women wouldn't have a preference in terms of what they do with men. So you mean to tell me that if it's a tall, good-looking, rich guy, women are going to do the same thing? Of course they're not. They're not going to do that. If it's the guy that they always wanted to go after, let's say last week you talked about the mystery man or the fantasy man that you brought up, who checks all of the boxes, right? So if it's a guy who checks all of the boxes for one particular woman, she's not going to ignore him. She's not going to pretend to ignore his advances. Exactly. She's going to respond every time he calls. Every time he calls, she's picking the phone up. Every time he texts, she's responding. Every time he says, let's hang out, she's going to go because that man checks all of those boxes. She's not going to take the risk of playing these ridiculous psychological mind games because the price, the risk inherent in doing it juxtaposed to what you can lose if it falls against you If you fall flat on your face, that's too high a price to pay. They're not going to do that. Yeah. So, what are you talking about when you say this stuff? None of this stuff applies. What this applies to is the typical men that you deal with on a daily basis and how you treat those guys with apathy and indifference because you deprioritize their attention in lieu of the attention of other men. It has nothing to do with any kind of strategy that you're employing to make them more obsessed with you. It's ridiculous.
And that's why it's so dangerous, because men have children, right? So your child is stress you out, but you still love your child. So that's the same logic of, hey, go stress your dad the hell out. He'll love you more.
Yeah.
No. The reason why this kid stressed me out is because I want X, Y, Z for my son. And when he's doing WT and, it's like, what are you doing? So that's going to stress pops out. He loves his son. He's stressed because his vision is not being executed.
Mm-hmm.
And so so what level of stress are you talking about? Oh, you heard that right here, ladies. If he's stressed, that's when he's in love. No, so this doesn't scale out all the way. So just because you're going to piss him the hell off, that makes him going to love you more? No, the reason why the stress is connected to the love, I would argue, is because he cares enough about whatever the situation is. And then that the stress is a reflection inward of him actually not getting whatever he wants from the scenario. It's not the fact that the stress prompts the love. The love is where the stress is coming from.
Yes.
And so for her to sit here and just say that, go stress him out, girl, he's going to love you for it. It's dangerous. It's too late now. The cat's already out the bag. It's already running out the goddamn street. And these girls are sitting here and they're going to sit there and go, And now, because a woman's imagination is a beautiful yet dangerous thing. They have the most vivid imaginations out there. That's why there's some mystery man out there floating around, all right? But with that vivid imagination comes strategic games, especially the toxic women. And they be bored. So they got time to develop and scheme and draw up a play. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to get him pissed off. They already do that. Now they're here. That's already a flame. This, and here comes this girl with a whole can of kerosene. Fuck opening it and just dumping on there. She throws the whole damn thing on there. Now that same woman that was grappling with the concept of maybe I shouldn't be so toxic has now got a reason to actually go be toxic because it's going to make him love me more. No, it won't. It's going to stress him out further. Well, ain't that going to make him love me more? No. So how long do you think this is going to last? How long do you think he's going to put up with this kind of stress? And then there's also two kinds of stress. There's actual stress, and then that's the eustress. A man having sex with a woman is a form of physical stress. So, but there's stress there when a man works out, he's stressing his body, but he's doing it for a reward. So what kind of stress are you talking about? So again, this is dangerous stuff. Just taking any kind of stuff, and I've seen it in science. So just because it has the science check on it, you're gonna sit here and run, and then it's the same thing, man. You tell somebody, hey man, I had on blue sneakers, I went up a red hill, and I took a nap. Hey man, this guy's got purple sneakers on. He went down a hill, and then he drank some coffee. And then so later on so this girl sit here and heard whatever. Now she's preaching this stuff to TikTok. And like I said, bro, the cat's down the street now. It's way out of the bag as soon as it hits TikTok. And if it got viral enough to hit our lovely platform, then it's already poisoned the minds of many women. The ones that were even on the fringe, that's like, you know what, all this toxic stuff, I don't know if I should be doing that. Last dude I was talking to, you know what I'm saying? I don't want a situation like that again. No, girl, keep going and doing that. That's going to make him love you more. Dangerous. So, yes, I would like the receipts on this science that she looked up. And because once we're dealing with science, doesn't mean that we're actually dealing with the truth. And a lot of things in the science field is built off theory, all right? And there's no difference between a theory and somebody else's imagination, all right? So just because some guy in some lab coat says something, or some woman in some lab coat and a stethoscope says something, doesn't actually mean it's true. So the things that you see in your everyday life that you witness with your own two eyes and the rest of your senses, that's generally what's going on in the world. And I would say this, fellas, don't buy the propaganda. I know you ain't, but don't listen to this and let some seed of inception get into you. Now thinking that, damn, this girl pissing me off, but I can't stop thinking about her. Maybe it's my love hormone. No, you're trying to solve that equation because you ain't like that song this morning either, but you still humming it in your head. So that's just natural brain processes. Make sure you do whatever you need to do to solve that equation, because there's something missing there. We're problem solvers as men. Solve that equation, and then that woman's going to be out of your life as you wanted her when you told her to get out of the house. So, yeah, man, this thing got me charged up. I cannot believe this type of foolishness is being spread on the internet like this.
Yeah, see, it is dangerous rhetoric, and it's dangerous all the way around.
Yeah.
Because you have enough guys out here who are trying to figure out why the hell women do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And if enough men see some bullshit like this, when a girl is ignoring them and and not paying them any kind of attention, they're going to interpret that as she's wanting me to press her even more and more and more and more and more. That's how they're going to interpret that, and they're going to continue to do it. And what's going to end up happening is, on the back end, this woman is talking about you, belittling you, and embarrassing you for pressing her. She doesn't care about you. Like I said before, if you checked off all of her boxes, she wouldn't be doing any of this stuff. Psychological warfare of this magnitude only gets applied when you're dealing with somebody who you perceive to be worth the risk of pulling it off towards. Okay, if they thought that it was too risky a proposition to try and pull it on you because they don't want to risk losing you, they wouldn't take the gamble. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. So the idea is, if they're doing it, it's because they don't care enough about having you a part of their situation to not do it. So don't buy into that hype. Do not press these women on this. Do not press these women in this regard. Now, it's different if you're in a relationship with a chick, or if you're in a marriage with her or something like this, and y'all going through something and she's trying to ignore you. There's enough of a foundation there. You respond differently. But when you're out here and you're just meeting women and they're doing this stuff to you, it isn't because they want you to come after them. It's because they don't care enough to have you around. They're deprioritizing your existence. And it is not worth who you are, your self-worth, all that good stuff. It's not worth whatever you bring to the table to acquiesce to this. It's not. And I'm saying this, I'm bringing this up under the pretense that what she says makes some kind of sense, which it doesn't. It doesn't. But even if it did, you got to blow this whole thing up. It's not worth it. No guy this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever. Like, no guy wants to be in a constant state of stress. That's ridiculous. No man wants that. And yes, the stress is tied to the fact that there is care present. That's where the stress comes from. The fact that there is the existence of care. Without the existence of care, there would be no stress. Exactly. So it isn't a situation where the stress is what's making him care. The care was already there. Thus, the stress becomes evident. That's what it is.
Thank you.
But people like this will twist this up. Like, people can just take whatever bit and piece of any kind of information, cross T's, dot I's, make a sound logic. If they're articulate enough and they know how to present their opinions well enough, they'll get in front of a camera, say it, and if it sounds good enough, people believe that crap.
Yeah.
And people believe this. No, what you have going on, ladies, is you are dealing with men who themselves are lacking in balance. And so when they are receiving the treatment from you that they are getting, they don't know how to handle it. And so it manifests itself as a form of aggression towards you. It ain't love, it's toxicity.
Yes.
It's not love. So I don't know where she got this from. I don't know where she got this, what is vasopressin, whatever I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is, but apparently I'm incapable of producing it because I don't buy into this. It doesn't, it's ridiculous. And yeah, I 100% agree with you, bro. It is dangerous rhetoric. And it's just another aspect of, modern relationships, modern society, modern culture, however you want to characterize it. It's another aspect of it that is causing these further complications. And it really needs to go away. And people like this need to stop making videos like this because it's ridiculous. It's dangerous.
Yep. And preserve your peace, fellas.
Yeah.
Preserve your peace. And don't let anybody rock it. And if you're having a good day and then here she comes with the BS to ruin your day, then you already know what to do with her.
Yeah.
And because one thing that we can't afford as men out here is to be stressed any further. We already got enough on our plate. We don't need women on purpose doing it to us so they can get their own narcissistic fix. So if there is an instance where, and that's a good way of gauging it. That's how I do it. When my days are as peaceful as my background is, and then here they come calling or texting with the BS, I know exactly how to position them. And I know exactly where they are in my life. It's like, oh, okay, so you heard I was having a good day. How's your day? It's going great. Or especially if they heard my voice and it's hopping and jumping, I'm having a good day. All of a sudden, here comes some type of argument somewhere down the line. So when you're dealing with that level of toxicity, leave it at the door where you found it.
Yeah.
And so, fellas, we can't afford this. So mount up. If you heard this, mount up. All right. Because they're getting ammunition out there. All right. And this was the one that we just stumbled across. And there's a whole network of Toxic 101 that's being preached out there on these platforms. So protect yourselves, fellas, and do not buy into the hype or the propaganda. Because this is absolute. I'm beside myself by this. You got me stressed out.
It's insane. Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. It really is. It's pure insanity. Men care, and that was the great. That's the one thing that women got hip to the game on. Once they realize that we be out here caring, they're out here running roughshod. They're running roughshod. And I'm not trying to make this a woman versus man thing. This is not anti-woman. This is anti-bad logic and anti-toxicity. That's what it is. It's anti-toxicity and anti-bad logic. And this is bad logic. Guys, go your own way. There's a lot of women out there, and there's plenty of good-looking, attractive women who are not going to do this stuff. They're not going to engage in psychological warfare because they want to get, as you put it, their narcissistic fix. When these women are being indifferent towards you, recognize what it is and don't press on that. Just go a different way because there's easier ways to go about doing it. It's like your job. You can make, you can, work 10, 12 hours a day and get paid pennies on the dollar. And you look at other people who are getting paid triple what you get paid, and they're not nearly as worked as you are. There's easier ways to make a living, just like there's easier ways to interact and deal with women that don't involve such toxicity. Because trust and believe on a baseline level, when you're out here and you're trying to meet women and you're trying to deal with women on a level like that, you're going to deal with some toxicity, some dysfunctionality on a baseline expected level. But what you don't need is that on steroids, which is what this is.
Yep.
This just takes it to a whole nother level.
And for the ladies out there, All right. Yeah, this is dangerous. So as we said earlier, so we were talking to the fellas too, but ladies, all right, don't buy into the hype. Stay solid because it may look like these thoughts is winning. They're not. That's why they gotta congregate in these conspiratorial circles to try to share more game. In order to keep a man, ain't no game necessary. Just be yourself and be solid. So these girls out here that's being conniving, and the devil is busy. So they working when you're sleeping. And so these girls here, they're constantly trying to find a new way to finesse men. So yeah, this here, let them have it. I damn sure let them have it. And I wish some woman comes to me with this foolishness. Yeah, let me ignore Dogon.
Mm-hmm. They come to me with it. I just know what the game is, so I'm out the door. You ain't gonna get me. Like life already is a handful than to have to deal with that kind of dysfunctionality.
Outrageous.
And ladies, seriously, I understand life. I understand how the game goes. You're out, guys approach you, guys want to meet you. They trying to holler, they want to get your number or whatever the weirdo thing is to do these days. They want to get your Instagram or your TikTok. I ain't on the new weirdo stuff. I'm still on phone numbers and texting. But so I get it, and I know that y'all give y'all number out mechanically and all of this kind of stuff. But look, when the guy hits you up or when he calls, you know whether you're interested or not. Don't play these games with these dudes. Just don't respond ever. Don't respond. Or if you really want to be respectful, I know y'all won't do this, but I'm just saying it's an option. You can just no, they won't do this. They won't. There's enough date. They're not going to do this. But if you want to do it as respectfully as possible, just let them know, hey, it was nice to meet you, but I'm not really interested right now, or something of that effect. They won't do that, but it's an option. It's an option. But the games, the mind games, it's not a move. In fact, it's the opposite. You make a man love you by giving him peace, not stripping him of it.
Right.
I don't know where the hell that came from. That is insanity. That is absolute insanity. That is absolute insanity. But it is what it is, yo. So that's our piece. We said a mouthful. Hopefully y'all got something out of that. Do not listen to this bullshit. Please don't.
No, please.
Please don't.
Hey, race for 1K, y'all. We getting there. Let's go.
Yeah, facts. Yeah. So, all right, man, that was good, man. This is a good video, good night, good conversation. Another addition to the Conscious Approach video series in the books. As I always like to say, JV wins, Dogon SS. If you appreciate the commentary in this video, if you appreciate the commentary in any of our other videos, we post often. Subscribe to the channel. As you can see on that ticker, as you can see on our graphics, man, we are in a race to get to 1,000 subscribers. So help us out, man. Hit that subscribe button, like the video, comment, because we pay attention to comments. We respond to comments. We also post these videos on Meta. So if you see in this video on Meta, like the video there too. Share it. Follow the page, because we certainly appreciate you supporting logical content. You can follow Conscious Approach on Instagram at ConApproach, ConApproach. You can find me on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS. We are cooking slowly but surely. We appreciate everybody who has continued to hit that sub button as we grow the community. We enjoy making these videos, so we certainly hope that you enjoy watching them and being a part of what we are trying to put out there into the universe. We ain't perfect. We ain't trying to make ourselves seem like we angelic, but this is just our logic, and so we like to kick this game every now and again. Other than that, as usual, keep it G, keep it logical, continue to support logical content.
Absolutely. And the name is Dogon SS. You can find me on Instagram at Dogon SS, all right, or on YouTube at Dogon SS, or maybe even on DraftKings at Dogon_SS. Ashanti, hit me up on Instagram, all right, and come stress me out. Also, fellas, as I always say, and ladies, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, and keep it player. Because guess what? There's people out there that's really trying to get you off your pivot on purpose for their own personal gain. How about that? All right. So make sure you guys stay solid, man. Stay firm and stay 10 toes down out here because there's some really wacky people in the world. All right.
Yeah.
So until next time, everybody, we'll catch you on the flip side.
Yes. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. We are signing off until the next video. Until then, we out. Peace.
Go Canes. Skirt. Go Canes. Let's go.